Okay, so if we can all focus our attention back on the conversation. We're now looking at questions number 3 and 4. And we have until 2:20 or so about an hour to talk about them. Robert had to leave, but he has given us his input in writing, and Ray has it all ready to put into the computer.
Do you want to read it?
So if we can read it when we get around to his spot, but not right just this minute. So here's a question I have for you though. When I look at question 3, how do you think your goals can best be achieved? And question 4, what are your specific suggestions and ideas? I have a sense that your answers are going to kind of answer both at one time. I'm guessing. Am I right? Probably? Because here's what I'm thinking. If rather than go around one time with question 3, and then again with question 4, that you would all have more time to talk about the two together, which I think is the way that the brain naturally works, and that you're going to want to do that. So are you all okay with answering 3 and 4 at the same time, and therefore having a little bit more airtime to do so?
Okay. It should be dialogue. I liked what happened on the last meeting. Then we had dialogue between.
Okay, and we can certainly, where there's opportunity, and if we get done with the questions quicker, then there can be lots more time for opportunity. So it's a tough balance to have dialogue and have to answer questions for a report, right? It's one of the most difficult things we as the facilitators face as well. But in order for us to get action items, we have to get the questions answered. So let's get those done, and then if you all want to dialogue, we'll just keep on going until they kick us out of the room at 2:30. Is that all right with everybody? Oh, I forgot to tell you, I take silence as assent. So if I say that's all right and you say no, then I hear yes. All right, so I'm guessing it's all right because nobody's saying no.
Where's the other room? There's only like 7 people in this.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
That other room only has like 7 or 8 people in it.
That's just however many showed up.
So why can't we all be together?
It's mostly just a time issue.
What time?
Because with that many people, we won't be able to hear
There's
everybody.
hardly anyone.
No, but her point is that we won't be able to go around. We only have 1 hour left, and we want to be able to speak, and if we have to share that time, we'll have less
With
time.
2 or 3 at this.
And those facilitators are kind of going in their process. But you know what, Larissa? I've heard this thought in one form or another more than once already today. I
It's
hope
a
you put it in
strong
writing.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't
Help
like-
us out.
Division is not helpful.
Okay, thank you. Put that in there, please. And put something on the front so we know you wrote something on the back, so we don't overlook that comment, please. All right, so now we're looking at how do you think your goals can best be achieved? The goals that you have shared with us in our first phase of questions. And what specific suggestions and ideas? Now, I know when I've asked you the questions before, there was a lot of need to go into the past and talk about what happened in the past. All right, and I'm going to invite you for this phase as much as possible, talk about the future. What would be the solutions and ideas that would make the incidents of the past not be repeated?
My son come
Okay.
alive again?
Yeah. I get
Yeah,
that.
bottom line.
I hear you.
Everything else is.
I hear you, Lisa, and I feel
No,
it
you
from
don't
you.
know.
I feel it from you.
No one should know.
I agree, and I'm sorry that you do. All right, so let's go ahead, Barbara, if you'd be willing to start with you in terms of how you think your goals would best be achieved, and what specific suggestions and solutions would you like to see implemented.
I can't hear you.
I know. And
I would like to see there be some, I would like to see some way to remove bad police officers from our force. I don't believe that's going to happen. In fact, I think this whole process is a charade. I think it's whitewashing and window dressing, and I don't really have any expectation that anything really is going to change here. You know, we don't want to change the police. They don't want to change themselves. We are not going to make them want to change. Yeah.
What
So-
did that, I didn't see what the heck.
Well,
Korea
this
press.
is
What was the
the news, so
Big
reforming it could take years. You know, and it talks about how, you know, what happened in the past when there was efforts to do community policing and the sort of resistance. Now they're really entrenched in this. It's official government policy to give them weapons of war, to donate them to the cause. And, you know, we're living in a police state. And whenever I see these videos, which now, because we all have a camera, are online all day, every day, you can watch them by the dozens of police around our country who are in this behavior. So it's not, this is what Mayor Barry likes to say, well, it's not really just Albuquerque. This is a national problem. Well, yes, it is. And let me tell you, it ain't gonna change. That's what I think. I have no expectation that anything put in place through the consent decree is going to make any difference. And I honestly, I think I've already said, you know, we need the end of authoritarianism. It's not going to come. You know, it's official government policy now. And, you know, it started, I mean, you know, I don't know when it started, but after 9/11, you know, the citizens are all terrorists, potential terrorists. It takes nothing to get investigated as a terrorist. And, you know, people who report their cars stolen, when the car's found, the police go to their house, and because the person who stole the car said these drugs in my car came from the person, they were in the car, and they go and kill the person whose car was stolen. You know, these are the kinds of things that are happening. I don't have any expectation that we can do anything about it. These people are sick, on drugs, testosterone, steroids, you know, PTSD, TBI, they have all these things. And
The police or the criminals are you referring to?
the police.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it
Yeah.
sounds like you're talking about the criminals.
No.
Well, they have, we all have to
That's
clarify. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go on.
That's
That's okay.
I don't think my goals are going to be best achieved.
Okay.
And my specific suggestions and ideas are to go in the streets and start fighting back.
Right.
I think that's the only answer, for us to start filming the police ourselves and to have ways to report the videos and have them be seen in the public so that even if they're following procedure and all the rules in the book, they can be convicted in the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
And that is the only hope we
working,
have,
too.
because these people are not being prosecuted for murdering James Boyd. They're not gonna be prosecuted for the murder of, what's his name, Jeremy,
Martin.
Boyd.
no,
Which
Jeremy, the guy who they just shot at.
Robertson,
Oh,
look
yeah.
up his,
Right, yeah, no, they've got all the video, the police video. And you can see them adjusting their story as they get their radios on the same frequency and all this kind of stuff. It is so completely corrupt, and there is no way we are going to get control of it. So I say, you know, hit the streets. That's what I've been doing, and that's what I advocate. That's my solution. The people go to the streets, and the people film themselves what's going on. Those are my solutions.
We need a
Thank you for
revolution.
that, Barbara. Okay.
I'll
So,
just wait to see how that is reported out, which, yeah, we'll see.
he'll put what you said.
I know you wrote it down.
well, I've gotten court transcripts that are not what happens in court too, so you never know.
Right, and we don't, and all that we can do for those of us that are here is the best that we can, in the most normal way that we can, to make the best possible change that we can. And I hear that you have no hope, and I hope the day change comes when that.
Listen, I haven't given up hope. I'm going to the streets. That's the only hope I have.
Hope is in
But
the streets.
I'm hoping, I'm not giving it up.
Okay, great, thank you for that, Barbara. And Greg, for how about you, what solutions do you see and specific ideas would you?
Dismantle this out of control monster.
Right.
That might,
I'm sorry, the
no,
first
that's
word
my
you said
dream.
was, did you say dismantle?
Dismantle
Dismantle this out of
Yeah.
control
monster.
Absolutely.
Okay,
But see, we are humans. We have our weaknesses. Sometimes we are waking down and going sleep back. I still believe that we can fix it somehow positively for both sides, okay? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But I still hope, because America, somebody told me, America is about hope, equal opportunity, liberty, and justice. They have to understand that too. See, from my personal experience with them, and I know them, I know half of the APD. I know, I was in Mayor Chavez's office, Mayor Berry's office, and Mayor Berry sent me detective from kind of crisis intervention unit.
Okay.
I don't give you his name because that's not relevant. And this detective, after talking with me about, 1 hour in my shop, I told him, well, I have a problem. I've been working in place on 200 Valencia Southeast in war zone, which was literally hellhole for criminals. We call cops, police, about 200 times a year.
Wow.
And I was calling them personally, Mayor Berry, Chief Schultz. They helped me. I didn't say they didn't help me. They sent me somebody and they helped me, but their help gave me lots of negative experience of who they are. For example, narcotics. I know how it done. They sent me sergeant from narcotics unit. They gave me CI. CI is confidential informant.
Snitch.
I installed him in apartment, because I was working in apartment complex. And he's supposed to work for police to find out who is dealing drugs.
So they can get the money.
And I somehow befriended that CI because he was borrowing money from me. He was a poor guy. He said those suckers didn't pay me enough. And he was selling drugs.
Of course.
So
Okay.
solutions, what would be solutions based on your experience?
Solution.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it is very important to all of the Albuquerque, finish investigation of Joey Sigala, former union boss. He was corrupting everybody. He gave Mayor Chavez about $300,000 for election, and he was Mayor Chavez's lapdog.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Did you get that name?
I got Joey.
Joey Sigala, investigated
Can you
by state
spell?
police right now. Joey Sigala.
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 S-I-G-A-L-A.
Thank you.
See like this.
I got it, thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay.
What that means, police union is supposed to be suspended for a while until we proceed with those reforms in proper direction, because so far they're throwing millions of dollars on this garbage, I can say.
So police union reform.
Yes.
Okay.
IT suspend them for a while.
Suspend them until they are reformed.
Yes.
Gotcha.
They supposed to clean the Joey Sigala business, because that's Stephanie Lopez right now, new boss of the police union. It's the same thing. Next thing is police cruisers taking home. This is our cruisers. We pay for that.
So they should not be taken home.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Until we finish positively. Take the cruiser away from there.
Okay.
Supervisors, sergeant, lieutenant, supervisor, real ones. Because I knew them supervisors, but they are not supposed to be there. They are guilty of all of this crap. They're not supervising, covering up, signing wrong reports. And I call them straight in the noses, you are Albuquerque perjury depot.
Okay.
Because see, when he signed it under penalty of perjury,
And yet in your experience, it was a false report, is that
it's
correct?
absolutely, I was involved in about 200 situations personally.
Okay. So that solution to go with the falsified reports, what's the
Absolutely.
solution? How would you suggest that be solved?
put police academy under
Video.
supervision of
Okay.
independent, whatever, group of people or whatever they can produce. Because that's the beginning of the problem.
Okay, so police academy needs to be overseen by a group
Supposed
of
to be
citizens.
overseen by something, I don't know, from Moon, from Hawaii, or from Alaska.
Okay.
Something completely independent of police.
I'm sorry, please, I can't hear him. Please go
And
on.
I can say corruption resistant.
Okay,
Because they think that they can fix everything because they have the money.
okay.
Money not gonna fix nothing there. All of this Mayor Berry, now they trying to fix and telling us that 10 million, 20 million, they already spent 30 millions for nothing. And that very important thing, city attorney office.
City attorney's office.
We have to put in that office some real people.
Okay.
I had experience with them because I have a settlement. They pay me money, I won. But you know what? That make me sick.
Okay. So we need to change who the city attorney is, or change
City
the
attorney
the
office.
culture of the city
Yes,
attorney's office? Is that what
because
you're
they
saying?
signing too easy our money
Okay.
to give the people whom they shot, they maltreat or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And we have a 30 millions right now, and we have still about 5 cases ongoing.
All right.
Very serious.
Okay.
What we are city, not them.
Okay.
We are city of Albuquerque. They are our servants, as I said. And they said that police work for the city. And city, to avoid paying lots of money for, cases, trials in court, they signing easy settlement. Like they gave me $11,500. They damaged my elbow forever, beyond fixing. And the crooks are promoted, they are still there.
So we need some revamping, it sounds like.
Okay.
Union, city attorney's
Last
office.
sentence.
Okay.
Ethics of piranha.
Ethics?
Ethics of piranha.
Piranha. I'm not.
Piranha is that fish in Amazon River.
Oh, piranha. Piranha. Change the ethics of piranha.
Accountability of Black Widow.
Okay.
You know Black Widow?
Oh, yes.
Nobody keep her accountable how many husbands she kills.
Okay, so
And transparency of Tarantula. That
Okay.
APD right now.
Okay.
And we have to do everything to change it.
Okay.
Easy. For me it's easy. Just rid of the crooks.
Mhm.
But union is defending them.
Okay, so that, and you said earlier, we gotta
Because all of
disband
those
them until we
crooks,
can get it right.
all of those crooks are still there and playing. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, like that. We are public. They are our servant, but they are still there, promoted, making money, lying, cheating.
Okay.
They lying, cheating. This is all about money, like you said.
All right, so we got some solutions and we heard a little bit more of the
Control,
challenges you've seen.
control them,
Control them. Okay, thank you.
and put monitor in every station.
Put a monitor in every station.
Yes.
Okay.
In the independent monitor.
Independent monitor.
Because what they doing in their time of their job, they cheating. I know, I've been following them at night, I've been following them in daytime.
Okay.
They cheating
All right.
us.
Okay, we gotcha. Thank you very much, Greg. And Herb, I see a whole list of things on that piece of paper there. You have some solutions and some suggestions in terms of what we can do to resolve the challenges we face?
Yes.
What would you like to share with us, sir?
I'm just going to give a brief rundown.
Okay?
Miranda, 1963. Fleeing Persons Act, 1969. Fleeing Felons Act, 1970. Locally, the 10-day rule. Plea bargains in use. The 6-month rule. Allowing false charges to be filed by APD.
Hang on one second. I just want to make sure you caught up. Okay, please go on.
allowing false statements to be introduced, laws that make it illegal to live on the streets, pretrial confinement, DWI stops, violations of the Fourth Amendment. Now this DWI, the Supreme Court has ruled that New Mexico's DWI laws are wrongfully and illegally enforced.
Okay.
This one, I think, it's important. 2004, 1,500 court martials per day. 1,500 court martials per day. Head district judges, 2 found guilty for criminal acts. And the director of the VA is also the director of the New Mexico Biological Medical Research Team and Mental Research Team. These are problems. All has been the people, APD, various judges, various police chiefs, and police officers have all been convicted of these types of offenses. Now, the solution, my solution, is because all of these things were taken away with the same false statements, excuses, that the public was far more advanced. The criminals were far more advanced than the police departments. So these violations of your constitutional rights were weighed on that assumption. All of it. Solution? You can go to court.
I'm sorry, please, if you need to talk, leave the room. I can't hear him.
Excuse me, he spoke to me, I
I
couldn't handle
was
it.
talking to both of you.
Well, thank
But
you.
please, Ted.
Just quietly.
But I can't hear him. And if you need to talk, you can go outside and talk. I'm not trying to stop you from talking, but I can't hear people, and I want to give them the respect that I give you when you're
We
speaking.
just do whispering.
Please.
Whispering.
Then you can whisper outside.
I'm sorry.
Please be respectful. Thank you, Tad.
Well-
I beg your pardon, Herb. You were starting to talk about such solutions. Can you please continue
Yeah.
about those solutions?
The solution that I see is to go to court without any further ado. Just to go to court and bring these issues to the court's light.
Okay.
And I feel that because of the record, the track record, there shouldn't be much of a problem in getting the police to start administering the Miranda rights, you know, with respect. Now, this is very important. If you issue your Miranda rights, if I am in charge of doing that when I come to you or anybody, that makes me stop whatever it is I'm doing to administer your legal rights. And it, quite frankly, has been proven that when you do it that way, you don't have the shootings.
Okay.
You don't have the violent attempts, the posing of things like that. The other thing, the Fleeing Persons and the Fleeing Felon Act. When someone is fleeing, they're of no danger. It's when you go to chasing them that the danger comes in.
All right. So this
And that's been proven. You've got them driving, chasing a DWI suspect, kill somebody, So that's already been proven. My stance is, okay, there's all the chatter. Now, for me, it's, okay, I know the courts are suspect, but I know one court that isn't. So, the solution is take it to court. They will find that everything that we've said, they did. Therefore, we the people, are entitled to have our human rights and our civil rights reinstated. They no longer have an excuse to say that the populace is the problem. The
Okay.
populace is the problem. So that's mine.
One question for you before we hear from Stephanie. You've been talking about the court.
Yes.
And earlier you had mentioned a concern about the two judges who had been ribboned. So I just want for the notes, when you say the court, is there a level of court? Are you talking about state Supreme Court versus district, or what's
Yes.
the court you're referring to, just so we
Okay.
have it understood?
All courts, but we do have the Supreme Court.
Right,
But we do have something above that,
which
which is the World Court.
World Court, okay.
Okay?
All right, so take it to the top.
So, if your courts, if our courts are this corrupt, then there is a court who can handle that and handle it quite effectively. See, it might take some of the heat off of us people down here.
Okay, thank you kindly for that, Herb, I appreciate it. Stephanie, what solutions do you see and suggestions do you have to help address the concerns that we've all been hearing?
Well, it's, like I said before, it's fascinating listening to all these different perspectives.
Yeah,
And
isn't
one
it?
thing it tells me is that I'm sort of aghast at all this information that's coming out, which makes me think that they've been able to operate, I'm talking about the police department, the administration, the whole thing. They've been able to operate this way for this long because people didn't know about it.
That's right.
And I think it's coming out now. And as unfortunate as some of the incidences have been with loss of life, I think that's been the instigation to get the information out to the public. And like Barbara said, we have cameras. And if we keep the pressure on by filming these things, then people can't say, well, I had no idea that this was going on. I had no idea that this would happen. I live in my little self-contained world. I don't have to deal with these problems. But now, if you care about the world, if you care about the country, you do. And so what Barbara's suggesting is wonderful. It's a great idea. I tend to see the glasses half full rather than half empty, so I think it's possible to change them. The way they changed the Chicago Police Department, it's possible. I would never have thought they could change the Chicago Police Department. But I think,
back.
well, you
Yeah.
gotta keep that pressure. Power is very seductive, and money is extremely seductive.
So there's some transparency you're looking for.
So I'm looking for transparency. I hope the DOJ keeps the pressure on. I hope we keep the pressure on the DOJ. I mean, you gotta do what you can do. I want to see more stories in the media. I think the Albuquerque Journal has just gone underground. They're part of the problem.
Biased,
Yeah,
very biased.
The ABQ Free Press is a wonderful addition, wonderful addition. So support them, keep the pressure on, keep attending meetings, keep things like this in front of the public. Okay, so all that happens and things are getting better. What else can we do? I would say we need to recruit better people for the police department. I read about some of the people that they've put on that have been released from other departments because they weren't working out, and we hire them. We get people that haven't fit in anywhere else, that just want to carry a gun, and somehow they manage to pull it, to pass these police things and get into the police academy. And why do we have to take them? Because we don't pay them enough. We don't pay anything. We aren't recruiting the people that could do a good job. So we need to up the qualifications for being a police officer. We need more and better training, lots of training in dealing with other people other than just people that shoot up Denny's. Hiring people that can make that judgment as to what's going on, make sure they follow the rules, they bring in the CIT teams when they need them, they've got the sense to call on them, somehow make it so that their only reward being from their fellow officers isn't what is the most important thing. It's gotta be they're rewarded for the job they do by us. They're doing the job for us. And if they're not doing it, they need to go. Okay, and just more non-confrontive interaction opportunities with police. I mean, if we know the policeman and we can call on them, there's situations where that's not gonna happen, but anyway. And overall, just listening to what you guys have said, somehow we've got to address the drug problem. It's made this a crossroads for horrible drugs, drug smuggling, drug, you know,
Yes, yes, and
Breaking
yes.
Bad.
Yes, and yes, all of
We're
that.
famous for it.
Yeah. So figure out why that's gotten to be such an influence here and change that.
Okay,
Change it.
thank you. And one other thing I wanted to just check in on, earlier when you were talking about the quality of police recruits, and you were saying that, that they're taking, you know, low standard
Yeah.
officers, and then you also referenced that they weren't paying the existing officers enough. Did I hear that right?
They're not paying the profession here in town, I would say, enough to recruit professional people.
So then,
Professional people.
so I don't want to make a recommendation for you, but do you have a recommendation around that piece? They're not doing it. Is there a recommendation in terms of changing the pay or the
Sure,
criteria
I don't know
for
what they
pay
pay
increases?
now, but I hear constantly, you know, they're just not paid enough. They're not
Okay.
paid enough to recruit the kind
So
of
pay the
people.
quality people
Mhm.
a professional rate, I think, is what we were just
Mm-hmm.
hearing. Okay.
Here, I got another real simple suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
When I lived in California, I lived near Menlo Park. The Menlo Park Police Department dressed in green blazers with green ties. They hated having to give up their black uniforms. They hated it. But you see New Mexico policemen, and the first thing you think of is the Gestapo. They're
Yeah.
covered in all this metal.
That's right.
They've got these scary black uniforms. They've got knee-length boots. They've got reflective sunglasses. And it's like, I'm here to deal with you.
I'm a bad dude.
I'm a bad dude. And the Menlo Park police would just show up in their green blazers with their little badge, and you know, they were there to help.
So
And
how
it was
does
just a
that sense-
change of attitude, a whole change of attitude, and it starts with taking them down from being like Darth Vader on the loose to being public servants, which is what they are.
So is there a recommendation around those Hitler-esque uniforms that you were talking
Well, you
about?
change the uniform.
Change the uniform to
Yeah.
be less militaristic and
Yeah,
more friendly.
yeah,
Would
yeah.
that be?
Friendly, yes.
Don't show
Encompass?
up with their militarized vehicles and their armor to take down a homeless guy with two pocket knives.
Pardon me for laughing, I'm sorry.
Can I have 1 second?
Could you wait and let me go around? Okay, because I've been
So I'm done.
asking these people to wait, so.
No, this
hold
is
your
for
thought.
her 1 second only.
Okay, one second.
They have to remove instead of with our community from our cruises.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you for that, Greg. Thank you for that, Stephanie. Alan, I bet you have some solutions and suggestions on your mind. Would you like to share them?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to agree with this young lady over here. The first thing out of her mouth when she said, this is nothing but a whitewash.
Okay,
That's exactly the way I look at it.
okay.
The city took our tax dollars and hired your company, and I'm sure you're good at your job. But the reason that you're here is because they can't manage their way out of a closet. much less take care of our gigantic problem. Okay, so, saying that, as far as playing, the only people saying that they're not getting paid enough money are the cops. They're the ones that say they're not making enough money.
Okay.
You need to get a hold of the guy that's doing the hiring. That's the guy that needs to have his head chopped off before they go to the academy. What happens is after they go to the academy, and it's a good academy, I've been to it. When I went to my post, after I took 160 hours at the academy and stuff like that, the first thing that happened when I walked into the building was, and they had the first briefing, forget all that stuff you learned at the academy, we do it our way. Okay, so you need to get rid of the thin blue line. The poor guy that went against the thin blue line, he's still working, but he got ostracized for it because he wouldn't fall in line with the cops on this Unser deal up here that I'm talking about. He told the truth. He wouldn't back up this. We got 2 guys right now that got fired, and they're suing to get their jobs back, and the union is helping them. This gentleman here is right. They need to get rid of that union. We got a mafioso union and a bunch of Gestapo hot dog and cops running around, and you got a mess on your hand. Barry, 200 cops are getting ready to leave the force. You know what he's trying to do? He wants them to stay, for Christ's sakes. I said, no, get them out of here. He wants to change it so that they can double dip now. Now they can retire and get the retirement, plus get police pay. These are the same duds that are screwing the whole thing up. Why put poison with these new guys that are coming in? Why do that? That's absurd. That's overeducated. I'm not an educated person. I'm a smart person. No offense. But I've only met a half a dozen people in my whole life that are as smart and more educated than I am, that I've got any respect for. I've got all the respect in the world for somebody that's educated. My daughters are educated, but they think they know more than I do. They don't. You know, it's pathetic. You know, I mean, I'm a baby boomer. I'm part of the problem. I know I'm part of the problem. You know, I'm part of the problem because of the way that I raised my kids. You know, let them do their own thing. No.
But back to the topic of suggestions.
All right. The topic of suggestions is, City Hall's got a problem down there, and they've hired you to take care of it. And all you're going to do is make a bunch of recommendations, spend our money, and nothing's going to get done. Everybody in this room pretty much knows it's going to happen. Terry Brandenburg, who's a district attorney, couldn't convict a ham sandwich that was made out of pork to 12 civilians. She couldn't do it. She gives these guys way too much leeway. I don't know why when I was working in the corrections department, every time they finally convicted one of these hot dogging cops and he went to prison, the first thing he was asking for was PC. That stands for protective custody. He didn't want to be out with general population because he knew what was going to happen to him, so we had to put him in with the baby rapers. Because believe it or not, there's a code, even in prison. The prisoners don't like the baby rapers. They got kids out there on the street. So they know what's going to happen to the baby rapers, so they segregate them. So that's where the dirty cops go that finally get prosecuted. They do not prosecute these guys, and they know they can get away with it. I mean, Terry Brandenburg's proud of it.
Okay. So better prosecution sounds like one of the suggestions.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And better education.
Better education, better prosecution, get rid of the thin blue line.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other final thought before we hear from the last 3?
Firm, fair, and consistent.
Firm, fair, and consistent. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that, Alan. And Diane, what suggestions do you have?
Well, I start out with what I had first said about justice, trust, respect, integrity, and leadership, and just doing unto others, and telling the truth and doing what's right, which is something that has to come within each and every police officer. But that's what leadership is all about. Leaders are supposed to shift and change their people, especially when we're in a crisis like we are today. So I say that we need to clean out the corruption, and we need to, that has to come from the top. We're talking about Chief Eden as far as APD and Mayor Barry as far as the administration, and until or if, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but if they don't give that directive and enforce it, then Barbara will be correct, and we don't want to see that. We want to see from the top down. You have to live it. So I first of all would like to say that we know that they can change the culture, because there's one thing that we know they have changed. They have stopped killing. So that we know that two things from that. One is that they have the ability to make that change and make it almost instantaneously after the last shooting, which was, I don't know, 6 months or so ago. And secondly, thank you very much, because the city has calmed down quite a bit because of it. And I also like to say thanks that we're doing this process. It's very much needed. There's a healing process that's coming out of this, and people need to do that. I would like to say, as far as leadership is concerned, that the directives need to be, actions and words need to be consistent. They need to come from the top, that is Eden and Barry. There should be ethics training and enforcement. In other words, there should be somewhat of a heavy hand, the velvet hammer. If anybody is familiar with management's terminology, the velvet hammer is, okay, this is what we want to see from you, you get rewarded from it, and if we don't see this, there will be consequences. And that's the key word. You can't just say it without doing it. We need to see the action and the results associated with it. They need to be consistent. No more secrets. I think you brought that up, which made me clear, which was clear. We need to stop the secretive government that we have going on right now, not just with APD, but there's other things that are going on in this government that are secretive, and they should. The days are almost over where governments any government globally can run secretively. There's cameras, there's YouTube, there's, people are uniting through Facebook. The secrets have got to stop. The intentions will be clear by their actions, and this applies to all respects of government. And I, unlike Barbara, am confident that this will work, because if it doesn't, the consequences for this city will be so bad, because there will be people who are willing to do as Barbara has done for so many years and put herself on the line. There are many people. It's growing because there is more public awareness. The 3 media channels and the Journal, which is nothing more than a government propaganda newspaper, they're becoming less significant, and YouTube and people like Charles Arison, who are recording things where it's being, that's where people are realizing there's credibility. And so my message is, I'm sure this will work, and hopefully this sooner by their actions and intentions, because if they don't, there will be more and more people who are uniting to fix this problem. So I also think that in time that we will be able to ultimately do what we should be doing originally, is focusing on the criminals, the true criminals, and that citizens and police can work together to try to work on fixing the criminal element here, instead of trying to fix the criminal element or the corruption in the police department. Right. I would also like to make one last statement. On the 18th at 6 p.m. in this very room, there will be a discussion regarding truth, trust, integrity, transparency, and openness in our government. And if anybody is interested in attending, come see me and we'll get you on the list, because it's time to start having open discussions about it, uniting and reinforcing that we expect this from our government, and that we will be ensuring that it happens not just within APD, but in other elements that are going on, where there's other things that are happening that aren't addressed because people are focusing on APD, but there's a whole lot of other things that are going on that need to be addressed.
Sounds like a fruitful meeting. So maybe you said it and I just didn't hear it. You said the 18th
Yeah, the 18th.
in this room, but I don't think I
It's
heard
6
the
p.m.
time.
6 p.m. to 8:45.
6 to 8:45.
Yeah, and anybody's welcome to come. It's going to be a good discussion. It's potentially, hopefully, going to be a working evolution where we can work with our government on trust, openness, integrity, and transparency. And that's,
Thank you for that, and thank you for letting everybody know about that next conversation. And I think that Tad's trying to get you to write it down for him or something.
you need to spell out.
Okay,
Don't
so,
forget Robert.
thank you. Ellen?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of oxygen. I just got out of the hospital, so I have to go.
Take care.
Thanks for your
It was an honor.
participation, sir.
It was an honor meeting. I want you to call me
Okay.
because my oxygen level's going down in my blood. I need to pick it up tank.
Okay,
Ma'am,
sir,
it was a pleasure meeting you. Sir, you've done a fine job.
thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that you don't take any of these things personal, but you asked, and I'm gonna answer you.
And we appreciate your honesty, and we believe that what we're doing will have significance.
Well, I don't want
and-
anybody to think that I'm running out in the middle of
No,
this
sir.
thing. It's just a,
No, you go get your oxygen, sir. Thank you for being here. Okay, so thank you for reminding us about Robert. If I may, let's go ahead and hear from these last two, and if I forget Robert again, bring it up
I'll
again.
remember him.
Okay, you remember him for us. Okay, so we've heard from Diane and Larissa, and I know that this is something very dear to your heart. What suggestions do you have? This is huge for you, and I know it.
I've spent 5 years researching all of this, long before everyone jumped on the wagon with things 2-3 years ago. The bottom line is to cut the chain of corruption, and it's a chain. APD is only one link. It's supported and enabled by the Albuquerque Crime Lab, by OMI, by the District Attorney's Office, and by certain judges. When a certain judge did not want to play with APD, they took care of him quickly. Judge Murdoch.
Okay.
Judge Brennan has set the standard for judges here in Albuquerque. That's how all judges should be, especially chief judges.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he got prosecuted too much, did he? No. So, I believe that the bottom line, which is always money, and just like they got Al Capone, there should be an IRS audit. That's how you really get them. And because that isn't happening, exemplifies how weak this DOJ thing is. This is where the bottom line is.
Ted
IRS
Cruz.
audit.
Ted Cruz. Take
And
care.
criminal prosecutions. Bottom line, nothing else matters. Everything else is window dressing and pouring more good money after bad. And also, which is impossible, would be to clean up the secret snitch system. There is a very good blog on the websites called Snitching, written by Alexandra Natapov, who is a professor, law professor, and is respected and has testified before Congress. And the snitch system is a secret system that no one, unless you directly run into it, is aware of. And some of those wonderful murders that APD has done are to get rid of troublesome snitches, which is a very ugly situation. And that's it. IRS connects the connections.
And I heard not just the IRS audit, but the criminal prosecution
Absolutely.
that goes with that.
You would hope.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
What was her name? Alexandra what?
Natapov. Alexandra Natapov, law professor in LA. She has a very good book, How the Snitch System Has Destroyed American Justice. And she also has a blog, Snitching blog.
And she's Ruski.
Alexandra, I don't know what she is.
Last name.
But
Yes,
us
no.
Slavic people are the only ones that give a damn about democracy.
Everything is ending on W or V is Ruski.
Okay, so thank you for that, Greg. So, Ted, You have been very, very patient, Tad, and I so appreciate it. And
Well,
please share with us what your
okay.
suggestions are, and then we're going to hear from Robert. So Tad, what suggestions and actions can we take to address the concerns that you have and meet the goals of the better relationship we're all looking for?
Well, instead of blue, navy blue uniform, we should try it probably yellow or pink uniform. How that they would feel.
Mix them.
Let me scratch.
Okay.
I'm done. Clear enough, probably.
Okay.
Now, let's go to, yes, we had November 8, excuse me, to 8 today, 6, that was historic day at City Council office, no, excuse me, chamber. Signing this 106 pages by 8 city council. Law attorney, council attorney asked to be excused, Harris. He left early, he didn't wait. Well, rest of it, yes, unanimously. So we're gonna have something done, there's no doubt. But how far, that's his question. Are we gonna start from shooting and killing? Well, we have to wait and see. There's gonna be many shooting and killing anyway, that's no doubt. But are there gonna be appropriate way to handle? That's his big question. Now let's go to
Your suggestions are?
that just wait and see.
We don't have
How
time.
Okay.
I know we don't have time. That's gonna be approved on the 10th of this month by the federal judge. Gonna be signed, and Mr. Berry is gonna sign it. He was gonna be sworn right here. He will sign it. They all gonna sign it right here. So we're gonna have some changes. So that's one good thing. Now, let's speak about money. Don't worry. It is so much money. It's so much waste over there. You know that I spoke in the last meeting. State Senate, New Mexico State Senate last year approved 500 million for mental health, which is $250 million. And now they want an additional. Well, they make a big deal. City Council to Isaac Benton and school teacher,
Kathy Corky.
superintendent now,
Brad
Winter,
Winter.
he's behind it. They make a big deal of, let's get a citizen for 1/8%, 80 million. Oh, big deal. That right man standing on the corner of the street, having $100 bill in the pocket and asking for quarter. That's what that looks to me like.
Okay.
That's how they look.
So your suggestions?
Just one more thing, because that has connection with APD, records examination, contracts. I'm talking contracts. Whole city hall contracts with private contractors, profit and non-profit. Have you ever tried to get to see APD contracts? Any records, documents, everything is out of question, no way. I tried over and over, multiple requests. It is, there has to be so many changes. It is because it is reason why they do not want to let you see their contractors, especially APD. They are most corrupted over there, and are controlling. They are powerful. And, well, of course, there are some confidential information when it comes to detective auditions, which is legally they cannot release. But transparent, they have to be transparent too. Not only other departments, department has to be transparent, because those are our tax money. Anyway, this is money accountability. As long as they get lots of money and that's no problem. They get you one way or another. They get money. And money, control, and power, and some other things. That's how this works. That's system is corrupted way back in Europe. System is corrupted right here too. Corruption is spread all over the world.
And
But we're supposed to be leader right here.
Okay, and we've heard a lot about that corruption, and I think there's been a lot of similarity in ideas, but just before we hear from Robert, any last suggestion, not what's happened in the past, not the corruption, we all were there, we just need to know any last suggestion from you, Tad, in terms of what we could do to create that better relationship that we're trying to get between the community and APD.
Well, Mr. Barry, he tried to get, he wants to get for all these 10 meetings, he calls this 10 meeting.
Okay, so what's the suggestion?
Well, what he's doing, he already, it's right here, done deal.
Okay, so so the suggestion is do what's in there.
On the top of that, there's hell of a lot of changes needs to be done.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Thank you for that, and we've heard a lot of other changes.
And the community has to be involved. Excuse me, one more thing, I just had 5 minutes instead of 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, we need to hear from Robert, and we need to hear from other people, so.
But
finish
I
your
like
thought.
to finish what I was saying,
Please.
because here is, right here, oversight and 2 commission on the oversight, ATD, and mental health oversight, overhaul.
Okay.
And that never has to be done, because I've been staying on the top of these 2. And you have to look at who's this, now the created board, oversight, which is oversight commission. It's not has not much to say, because board has authority to decide that if cops gonna be disciplined or not.
Okay.
So how oversight, that's non-functional, in other words.
Okay, so you
There's
need
also independent investigator office. The board can throw it away, because this board is appointed, now it's gonna be, now they take the application, and who's gonna choose? City council.
Okay.
Excuse me, but city council, they are also part of
Problem.
city government.
Okay,
So get citizen over there, just simple guys, citizen, then citizen who has no way to association with government or even cops. They say only 1 year requirement for retired police officer to be minimum 1 year after retirement. Well, that tells you a lot too.
okay, so Tad, I'm sorry I gotta cut you off.
I'm
We'd still
done.
love to hear from Robert. Barbara wanted to respond, and there were a few of you that wanted to dialogue. So we got what you said, and we know that that oversight board has got to be made up of citizens not related to government. So, let's hear from Robert. Since you're a man, Ray, you can speak in Robert's voice. What did Robert want to share with us for his solution?
His card says to emphasize the Citizens Police Academy, neighborhood watch organizations, business and social etiquette classes. Drones that oversee the vicinity when an officer is dispatched with civilian and officer oversight. Compromises between civilians and government on a complete overhaul utilizing technology and newer unthought policy.
Excellent, okay, thank you for that. And Barbara, just a moment ago, you gestured that you wanted to say something.
You know, I do have one thing that I would like to say, and that is, you know, I think training the police in mental health is ridiculous. Yeah, they should have some basic training.
They
But
should
when
be
there's a
out.
mental health situation, we should have trained
For
mental
mental
health
health.
professionals to be dispatched. I think sending uniforms into a crisis like that is a huge mistake and only causes additional escalation of a bad situation. So I don't think, I mean, I don't want to discourage the police from having some training, but I don't think that that training should be in lieu of professional mental health workers who respond to these kind of calls.
Thank you. And that connects, I don't remember when we heard it, but I remember earlier this afternoon, somebody said we need to know who to send in when, and that there needs to be a team
That's
for
probably
it.
what
So
inspired me
you're
to say that.
reinforcing that, and thank you for that.
I'd like to make comments.
Quickly, please.
My comment is, when we talking about mental health, yeah, he is professional. Professional in mental health, one of the person, what really caught my attention. There are also other doctors doing same things, medical and other doctors doing same. Well, his name is Dr. Rosenbaum. His employment, City of Albuquerque, employer, City of Albuquerque, then Presbyterian Hospital and UNM Hospital.
And so the point.
He's working for at the unit CIT. And what he's doing, his job is just gathering information. He can enter every patient documents in UNM Hospital and Presbyterian Hospital.
There's HIPAA.
Exactly, and also they collecting database, and they just because he's professional and associate with hospitals, working employee at City of Albuquerque, he gets privilege. Well, I'm sorry, this is privacy too.
Okay.
Privacy, confidentiality, and many other issues. How professional is he? They also are trained, doctors are trained to ethics,
Okay.
to the ethics,
Right.
being ethical. How much ethics this guy has.
Okay, so we have to wrap up because that sounds like
That's
an
my
unfortunate
question.
situation and I don't know, so,
Rosenbaum.
okay, thank you for that. All right, so I want to thank each and every one of you for investing your time here today and for sharing your thoughts. And Ray has.
Don't get me in trouble.
Ted, I'm just gonna have to just spank
Throw me
you or
out.
something, just like, okay. And Larissa, you weren't in trouble with me, I'm sorry, I looked at you when I was
Yeah, I
chatting
teach
Ted.
high school.
I think
know
we
our
have
difference.
this-
And I
Discussion.
apologize, thank you. All right, so, thank you, everyone.
You know,
We will be continuing these dialogues if you would like to continue, if you'd like to participate, there are sign-up sheets out front. And please fill out the evaluation forms, also offer any comment forms that you would like to. This is a huge investment and a lot of work for all of you, and thank you so much for your participation. Diane, you had one last thought.
Yeah, there's going to be, the next step is that they're going to be deciding who's going to be called into these planning meetings. When will that decision be made?
It's probably not until phase one is done.
Okay.
So I'm guessing, easily not till spring.
So
Because
they're going to have, okay, so they're.
the dialogues that go right now.
February 15th is the last one.
Right, but we may be scheduling more because there's people who weren't able to attend.
Okay.
So until everybody feels that this process is complete for the community's perspective, we'll do them until the money runs out or the input runs out. And then we'll begin phase two.
And sorry, the other thing is, they're not waiting, they're making decisions now, I hope, that are obvious that need to be made they're not waiting, in other words, they're not waiting for this whole process to go
No.
through before they
No.
make some,
No.
they're implementing, hopefully they're implementing some things now that are obvious that need to be done, and we
There-
should start seeing some results as far as police collaborative, relations already in the community. Is that? am I
There are
correct in
efforts coming from
understanding
all
that?
different directions. There's community policing councils, there's the DOJ report, there's other things that I don't even know about, but there's lots of, the challenge, I think, and I think one of the reasons they wanted to do these dialogues is all these recommendations were coming from all of these people who were not down-home Albuquerque citizens.
Right.
And they're afraid that there's gonna be gaps in the recommendations, because DOJ doesn't live here, right? So this is to complement other recommendations that are already being put into way, but what do the citizens want? So that's what these are about.
But my point is
Yes.
that today, we should be able to see results of better police collaborative relations on the streets today. We should expect that and see that, is that correct?
I could, I mean,
No,
I
you shouldn't.
I can say from my personal opinion, yes, we should expect to see that. I don't know, because I don't know all the whole big picture, I'm just the little old contract facilitator, so I don't really know. I think that would be a question maybe for the mayor's office,
Okay.
you could check with Tyson Hummel, who runs the ADR division that contracted us, and he might be able to give you some
I like
timelines
to-
too.
I'd like to say something on the record. Can we trust UNM? How professional they are? And now they are gonna be evaluate that.
No, they're not evaluating, they're only compiling. They're compiling everything together to see
Right.
what the patterns
And
are.
then give their opinion to the mayor, right?
No, they're not giving their opinion. They're giving a compiled report of your opinions,
Right.
but not their opinion. Then it will be up to the city to
I
take all that
understand.
information and decide for themselves what to do.
But I have little bit question about this process. Maneuver process right now, right here, when UNM is involved.
Tad,
That's
I'm
what
going to
should be
interrupt you
answered.
for a second. We have the comment forms out there. You really need to use the comment forms. These are not things that we can answer.
Yeah,
That's what the comment forms are for.
Okay. What is
yeah.
it?
They're out front, I'll get you one. Thank you, everybody. Leave your evaluations on the table. Please come back for more.